It sounds to me that there is like a form of veiled threat. You better be careful how you fill in that annual employee engagement survey because, you might sabotage, other people's jobs.
I think it can be seen as a threat. Or it could have been seen as a joke. Because I've heard how this sentence goes, right? Like with a nice boss. I say, hey, don't sabo, we are going to, remember, people's jobs are at stake.
Yeah, actually their jobs at stake.
It's their jobs because the employee engagement survey, right?
Reflects on them, the boss, right?
Exactly.
Today's question was sent in by our listener, Deborah. Deborah likes her work, but she's working with bosses who don't reply to emails until the last minute, resulting in everyone scrambling to meet deadlines. These bosses have also cancelled agreed meetings. Deborah says there is a culture of not respecting deadlines and it has messed up her work schedule. Now, here's what she wrote. My director even told his team to be mindful of how we complete the employee engagement survey because everyone's livelihood is at stake. What are the avenues that staff can use to report on toxic work environments when the conventional method of going direct to the bosses does not work?
Wow, it really sounds like Deborah likes her work, but she doesn't like her boss.
Sounds like it, yes.
It sounds like from the way she described that, even her colleagues may feel the same.
Yeah. And it sounds to me that there is like a form of veiled threat, when the boss is like, you better be careful how you fill in that annual employee engagement survey because, you might sabotage, other people's jobs. You might cause all of us to, be investigated or something like that.
I think it can be seen as a threat. Or it could have been seen as a joke. Because I've heard how this sentence goes, right? Like with a nice boss. I say, hey, don't sabo, we are going to, remember, people's jobs are at stake.
Yeah, actually their jobs at stake.
It's their jobs because the employee engagement survey, right?
Reflects on them, the boss, right?
Exactly. So I don't know, maybe in Deborah's case, the livelihoods here, maybe it's tied, the outcome of the survey is tied to the bonuses, maybe?
Oh, okay.
Perhaps.
I think how big of an impact does it, have on maybe your boss or your team bonuses?
Typically, from what I know, the employee engagement survey is done at regular intervals to help a company to understand how well engaged their employees are. Sometimes they tie it to certain goals, like the way bonuses are being distributed. So yes, for sure. Very often, if there are red flags coming out, like a very disengaged department, then that's where HR might be activated to speak to the director to find out like what's happening. Can you come up with some mitigation steps to solve the issue, right? So I think there is a place for this type of employee engagement surveys, and for sure, employees should utilize that as much as they can, right? But in Deborah's case, the challenge seems to be because it's a small team.
Yes, so she could possibly be identified, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's like her mannerism will show that she is already a bit disengaged or a bit unmotivated when, or challenged and frustrated when deadlines are, rushed, to be met.
Part of me is wondering whether if this is the same, if everybody in the team is feeling the same way, then by right, the result should be consistent, right? Everybody's giving, let's say, low engagement scores. So Deborah shouldn't have to worry. But if, let's say, there is that real concern, then I would also think about how the employee engagement survey is being done. So typically for when it's done professionally, that means it's done by an independent, neutral party, they would take a lot of effort to try to mask and anonymize, aggregate the statistics, the information, so that nobody is identifiable.
So out of 10 companies out there, how many would utilize an independent company to run their employee engagement survey?
I think for the larger companies, they would typically go with a reputable employee engagement survey provider. I used to work in a company where I was in a team of 5. Right, and then there was only one boss. So the 4 of us were often wondering, like, what should we do, right?
So do you all gang up against the boss, or maybe
we had a good boss, good boss,
okay.
right? But I think the research company came down to tell us, to assure us that the way they're going to approach the study, that we can feel really confident that anything that is identifiable will be aggregated. If it's just like
not.
a Google form
Yes,
and
or
done by
worse.
HR.
And then after that, you see on top, it's like submitting as, Tiffany. Then you're just like, all right, this is not a good idea. So then what other sort of avenues can you have to maybe try and change behavior?
I would think that having conversation with HR, if this is important enough and it's causing you a lot of loss of productivity and also unhappiness and work-life imbalance, I think it's good to speak to HR about this and get them to perhaps come in as a neutral party to look into this situation. Maybe there has been other people who also lodged complaints or given certain feedback to HR before, so that there could be enough for HR to pursue a bit more clarification or investigation if needed, right? Of course, what you could also do is hopefully hope that your boss gets promoted and move on. Then everything will be settled, right? Get a new boss coming in, but that's a joke.
I'll put in the the company notice board like, this boss is not doing that, but
apply jobs on your boss's behalf so that he gets promoted and
try
move on
and send
somewhere.
his name to like a recruiter or something like that. But I think another way to do it also is that maybe if you don't have that relationship with HR, right? But you do have a relationship with your 2-up. So now you have a problem with your 1-up, right? But if you have a kind of a okay relationship with your 2-up, you can also go to the 2-up and say, look, I am quite struggling. I mean, I don't mean to come to you and complain about my 1-up, but I do recognize that at the end of the year, my performance review will also sit on your table.
Yeah.
So you would have a good idea of how our team is progressing, and it may look like we are always missing deadlines or we are rushing towards deadlines. I just want you to know this is the reality that we are facing in our team. I'm not trying to, throw my boss under the bus. I'm just trying to explain from our point of view why we haven't been meeting deadlines. I think that could be a conversation that you can have. I mean, I feel that like, I do have, bosses where I can have that conversation with if I ever do meet that situation.
Yeah, I think going to your 2-up works if you're really sure that the 2-up will look out for you. I've seen how 2-ups throw you under the bus.
Okay.
Because they need your 1-up to do the work.
Oh.
They don't want the 1-up to change.
Okay.
And they have such a good working relationship. So going out to a 2-up, you could find yourself becoming the third wheel between them. So I don't know, there's no easy answers around this, but as we said, right, the first thing is of course use the EES, and then of course maybe speak to HR. And if things get really, really bad, to the point that the likelihood, your likelihood is being threatened, like really legitimately threatened, maybe it's time to look for something else.
Yeah. I think also the other advice I would give is like, when I first read this, I mean, I don't know your boss, Deborah, but I kind of saw this as a red flag. Like, why would you say that, me being honest in a survey is going to threaten everybody's livelihood? To me, it's a red flag, right? If your boss is joking, okay, that's fine. If you guys are just having lunch and, your boss is just making, a joke out of it, it's fine. But if he's not, then I would say, you need to start documenting some of these concerns that you have. If there's a text involved, keep the text, keep a screenshot of stuff or whatever, so that when you speak to HR, there's something to show for. There's a little bit of data to show for. I think these people are recalcitrant. If they say it once, they will say it a few more times. Yeah.
That's right.
So that's our small little advice. Hopefully that helps with your predicament. If, like Deborah, you also have a work-related question that you don't know who to ask, well, you can send it to us. We are at cnapodcasts@mediacorp.com.sg, or you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Me Listen, or YouTube, where a video version of this is at. Drop us a comment. We're always reading.
I'm Gerald.
And I'm Tiffany. No job is perfect, but toxic ones are not okay.